Good morning everyone, welcome to my video. Okay, today's video is a haul that I've just done at a sewing supply upcycles shop that's in Brisbane. So sorry girls that are outside of Brisbane. I'm sure you have similar places in your bigger cities, but for everyone else who's not in a big city, thrift shops, $2 shops are still the go-to place for me. But this place is opened up at Beenleigh. It's called Sewing Lair, and it's everything in there is donated, and then what's sold goes to charity. It is just a multitude of bits and pieces, predominantly fabric, and then sewing notions and things like that. But in amongst it is some books and some little bags of elements that could be used for slow stitch. So that's what's caught my eye. So I just thought I'd turn on the video and show you what I got. This book by itself was just $2, but everything else I show you after this book was $19. And I think I counted, I got 27 pieces. So 27 items. So do the math, that's pretty good shopping. And I got some really interesting things in there. I could have done more, but you know, enough was enough. That's all I could hold, and this is more than plenty to try and absorb into my already busting craft room. So a girl's got to have a little bit of restraint. First thing I wanted to show you was this. I have really pleased with this. It is a Victorian Alphabets. So what it is heaps and heaps. Oh look, that's someone. Oh, their address is on that. There's someone this book belongs to, and then the name of the person and their address. So I need to cover that. You can't see it on the camera anyway, which is good. This is so many pages of embroidery prompts that are all alphabet. How gorgeous. I've never seen anything like it. You see these pieces embroidered around or on our kits that we use for scrapbook journals. Often the girls will include these antique embroideries of letters from our past. Well, this little book is heaps and heaps of monograms of letters. So I thought, what an interesting piece to play with. So pretty happy with that. Shows you how to put them together to make words, and then just some general examples where you can embellish them out with grapes and vines, and oh, so much fun. So really pleased with that. It must be a fair age because the pages are quite yellow. So what date was this printed? It was printed in, no, it's not jumping out to me. Maybe in the front cover, probably doesn't matter so much. It just feels like it's got some age to it. First printed in 1974, and then featured from a selection that was printed in 1852 to 1888. Gaudy Lady Book and Peterson's Magazine, which were published in 1852 and 1880. And they've taken a selection from that. This Dover edition was first published in 1974 with a selection of alphabets, monograms, and names from those two older publications back in the 1800s. How gorgeous. There you go. That's the story of this. I sort of felt like it was a decent age. Anyway, let's move on to some of the things that I picked up. This just gives you a bit of an idea of what I look for, because I'm a sewer, slow stitcher, crafter, and using everything from my scrapbook world into slow stitch. I'm always looking for random things to use. So I found this braid, very unusual. I don't have a lot of red in my stash, and I've got plans for a piece closer to Christmas. And I thought, oh, I better start sort of hunting around for red now. Otherwise, I'm going to be in a bit of a rush in November, December when I start the project, and I have to start hunting for bits and pieces. So I picked up this braid. It is quite interesting with the white, and it's an off-white, so it's quite pretty. It's not like stark. And then as a bonus, this particular edging came with it. It's got like a little cord in it, and you'd stitch it in around, say, an edge of a pillow to get a little finish to something. So that was very interesting. So I got that piece. There was some Fusible Web, you know, iron-on webbing sitting there. So I thought I'll grab that because we don't use a lot of it. So little pieces like that are quite handy. I found this, and the lady, she giggled. She said, we thought we'd never sell that. We just like, when would you ever use it? And while I was sort of looking around, I started mucking around with the spots, and they come off. So my theory is, for my Christmas project, and I don't really need spots, or maybe I do, but I don't think I do. But this tulle, I'm going to peel off all of the spots. I'm going to stop now because there's going to be spots everywhere. And that then gives me a great piece of tulle. And you don't need a lot, so there's probably about 30 centimetres of tulle there, minus the spots. So I'll put that to one side. In the vein of red, she had walls and walls of yarn. So I picked up these. I'm going to chuck a few things in the bin as we go, so then I'm sort of ready to absorb this in my room. She had some packs of textile yarns that I thought might be handy, and I love a burgundy red or a raspberry red. So those are going to be fantastic for using in the centres of flowers and things like that to give that fluffy textile. And if I want a little bit of bling, some of these have sparkle in them. It's a real burgundy looking one, a two-tone burgundy one, very pretty. And Christmas journals too, to put a little bit of green sparkle and red sparkle on the side of Christmas journal is a little bit special. What else did I find in the red department? Oh, these are very interesting. I don't know what you'd ever use them for. They look like fingernails, but my vision is they're going to be the centres of poinsettias. I thought they were quite interesting. They're like sequins. They got one hole, so you'd stitch them down, and they could be the centre stamens of some flowers. So I thought they looked very red and would be good for something. What else red did I get? I think that's about it, yeah. I found some buttons. They're sort of technically a magenta, but they are interesting, and sometimes you can sneak a bit of magenta in with red. So I got some buttons. Everything in there is priced, but there were certainly a lot of items I did pick up too that had no price. So she was so generous. She was like, oh, 50 cents, 20 cents, 50 cents. And then when it all came to $19, I was like, oh, that sounds a little bit too generous. So ended up rounding it up to $20. And yeah, said keep the change because I really feel like I got my money's worth here. Some little blue ones. I used some of these already on my house. If you've watched the stitchery project that we're doing for April, the little house, I end up using some of those. So in the line of blue, I've never had any of this. I see it on the bottom of lamps. Yeah, lamps. It's just dangles of beads. And I thought, well, it's certainly a colour I use in my stitching. So very pretty. It's usually really expensive to buy too. I've seen it in antique shops where they might have some old style haberdashery items, and often this is in amongst their range for people restoring lamps that are like on a post, and this would sit around the bottom. I just had an idea. This here with beads coming off the bottom is similar to what they've done here. I can feel like a cord in the bottom of that ribbon that they've stitched those beads to. So that potentially could be made into that sort of thing. What else have I got here? This is a little bit of trim, and I've used it already in my house as well because it had the blues. It had all the blues that I was using in my little stitchery of house. So I cut out some of those little flowers, the yellows and the blues, and added them to my piece. So you may recall seeing that. So very pretty. Another piece of lace. only really grabbed it because it is a colour that I do use, but it is a modern lace. It's nothing really special. I don't usually buy a lot of those types of laces because they're very nylon and modern, but it is a gorgeous colour, so I grabbed that. Then I found these rosettes with the pearl inside of them, so that's got some potential for adding to a stitchery, sort of giving you some texture. Oh, why do I keep saying texture? Textile. This piece of lace is interesting. It is like in a V shape, so probably from potentially a collar, like you'd put it onto your bodice. It's just got a nice shape about it, so I thought that was a good find. It's got great potential cutting out some of these scrolly pieces or this edge along the top, so that was lovely. That was a bit of fine. I think I did a little skip when I found that one. I found she had so much fabric, but I restrained because I don't need fabric. I sort of was looking for different things, but this little fat quarter was there, and I thought that's just so cute. It's the colour in the background is definitely something I use, probably not so much the colours of the roses, but you never know. Some projects just take you into a different world, and to have some random colours. Plus the other thing is this rose is really good for stitching. It's a decent size. The flowers are well defined, so you can easily pick out elements there and stitch them all in, and the leaves are beautiful. So even if those colours didn't suit your project, you've got a rose that could be embroidered. So that in itself makes it a very interesting piece to have in your stash. Now, another little piece of lace. Where's the bag? Has it open? This one here. Just an interesting, looks like it's been glued onto paper at some point. So it must have been a sampler. Gee, I'd love to get hold of the book that had all the other samples in. Wouldn't that be a bit of a score? Very interesting. So that little piece is lovely. And then I did find, I've had it before, I've got it in pinks, blues, creams and white, but they had it there and it was 10 meters in the bag. And I thought, oh wow, that's just forever, ever handy to have. You can dye them. You can use them on so much, just little trims on things, or just cut the little flowers out for adding to ephemera. It's just such a handy little piece. I found the one and then I thought, oh, if I found more, I'd grab it, and I did. I found heaps of it. There was others there, so other bagfuls just in another section. So I ended up taking another piece. So that'll just be used and used and used. So I'll never need to buy that again. I found this little kit. It's a little Dolly craft button doll kit. And then, not that I'm going to make a little doll. Pop that in the bin because I do not need any more bits and pieces. But these are great little pickups just to find, I'll just move that up a little bit, elements that you might be able to use. So the big thing here, I guess, is the buttons. So lots of fantastic buttons. That's the first bonus. And they're nice muted tones, so they're interesting. If I ever make a dolly and I need some hair, so I'll put that aside somewhere because you never know, you might want some little curls on a doll. So that's handy. What have we got here? This is leather. So a bit of leather, I guess if you're making something you want it to be very secure, leather is a good way to go. We've got a button with a little face, 2 little eyes on it. So that's, you know, interesting. And then we've got, whoops, another button. We've got some little scrap pieces of fabric. They're pretty ordinary. Like they feel, yeah, pretty nasty and cheap. These are not quality fabrics. But you never know, there might be a little patch or a little colour you're looking for. So snippets aren't bad. You can always do with snippets. So that's not bad. Here's another piece of yarn that I picked up. I use this on my spine of my journal of stitchery when I put a tassel together. So I just thought it was just so pretty. It is just so pretty. It's got like an apricot turquoisey, very soft, powdery turquoisey look about it. Very, very pretty. Even that as stems on flowers. You build a flower up at the top here with some leaves, even some leaves, put it in your needle and do a lazy daisy stitch with it. Be just gorgeous. So that, I think, has got huge potential. And I've got a piece in my mind that's going to be all apricots. So when I saw that, I'm like, oh, I'll grab that. Now this was a find. I was watching a video the other day, and one of the ladies who's a embroiderer, I can't remember who it was now, she was talking about she loves these looms where you slide your whole floss, your embroidery floss onto it, and then the little number slides on the side. And I've never seen anything like it. And I'm like, oh, wow, that would save hours of, winding them onto the little cards. So I thought, where would I find those? And then I didn't think much more of it. And dead set, 24 hours later, I'm in this shop and I find this little bag with 5 of them in there. So I thought, I just have to buy them to have a look at what it's all about. So I'm not sure if this is an old thing or a new thing. You might be able to tell me in the comments if you use these. And is it something from, say, I don't know, way back that this is how they held their flosses, and these little cards, they've got DMC printed on the side. Okay, so this is something that DMC's created in their world and was selling as an accessory to embroidery cottons. So I'd love to hear from you if this is something you still use. I'm guessing this hole, if you had leftover cotton, you could thread it through that little hole there, ready for your next time you're on your needle. Very interesting. Love to know the history of these. I'll have to do a little bit of research because I thought that was something different, that I might remove the cotton, put on some colours that maybe suit a project, and then they go with it in the project, like as a feature. Some notions that would go, sewing notions that could go with in embroidery. So I've got a bit of potential to play with. And the last thing I got was this. When I first picked it up, I'm like, oh, no, beads, I got enough beads. But then when I started looking at the colours, there's some not bad colours in there, especially the red for Christmas, the white and the green. I don't really love that dark burgundy, but you never know, because sometimes you do something that's very dark and just to pop a little bead in there is cute. There's like a peacocky looking colour. The blues and the yellows are always handy for bringing light to a flower. So I thought, oh, I'll grab it. And then as I was walking out, I realised they were actually all glass beads. So they're pretty good little beads. So that's a good score. I think there is some cotton in the side there. Let's just open it up and see what we got. Let's hope it doesn't. This could be fraught with danger. Can you just picture it? What could happen? They look like, yeah, it's never been opened, so we should be safe. I'm going to slide that out. Yeah, we're safe. Looks like it's fair age because everything's gone real yellow. What have we got in here? Okay, some 2-tone, 3, 4-tone, you know, variegated. Who's made that? Is that Anchor? 2 meters. No, it's got Chinese writing all over it. No, that's nothing. Oh, there's a piece of wire in there. Okay, some wire. And then some findings. So there's some earring bits and pieces. Okay, gone are those days. Used to make a bit of jewellery, but I find it too fiddly. Let's get rid of that. And we've got a little canister here. Okay, you turn the top and they'll all come out, which we will not be doing. But I will need to get them into my containers so that they're under control. That looks like a bit of fun there. So they were a good score. Okay, so, oh, it's to make friendship bracelets, all right. You know, when the kids make these. No, they're good. Okay, now the last piece, which is, I think, such a find. It is a piece of fabric that's, 30 centimetres wide. And then there's this trim on the side of it, and it's probably about 90 centimetres long. Then the trim goes down the other side, but then there's no trim in this. So it's obviously made to sit on a buffet where this would go close to the edge of the buffet, like the top of my screen was like a wall, and then this would dangle over. So you're probably wondering, what is she thinking with this? What I'm thinking with this is, this trim is just gorgeous, and I've already used some in my journal of stitchery. So what I will do is cut off this trim and then wind the trim onto a piece of card so that it's in my stash. And for 50 cents to 60 cents, whatever this worked out at, $19 divided by 27, this is a really good buy. So now I'm at the end of that one side, so I've trimmed it, and I've got myself a gorgeous little floral piece. So in my journal of stitchery, I put it on the bottom of the house panel and left it in its shape, but you could easily snip those little fronds out, the little flowers. Oh, beautiful. So that was a real score, and there was 1, 2, 3, 4 of them. So I dug, rummaged, nothing like rummaging, and found 4 of them. So lovely little score there. Okay, that's it. That's what I found. So if you're wondering what I look for when I'm rummaging, a bit of everything, as you can see. You just never know what you're going to find until you go hunting. So now everything's off that is fabric to the nappy sand. Give it a good clean, let it soak overnight in some suds, just to get anything fabric, anything I can that can have a little wash. Goes off now to, you know, make sure it's nice and clean, because yeah, who knows what the history is here. So a good nappy sand soak overnight does things wonders. Plus it often brings out new colours when you think you got cream and it turns out that it's actually white. Yuck. Anyway, I will leave it at that. Enjoy your thrifting and your shopping, looking for supplies. It's so much fun, and it's great to get out of the craft room. All right, I'll see you all soon. Bye.